Hey everyone, it's Jodi Sanford here with Simple Stories. We are so excited to be here with you today to share this fun, basic, simple project layout featuring our trail mix collection. We'll kind of walk you through this and keep it simple. We'll be using all trail mix products. We're using some of the trail mix collection kit, so we'll be pulling out some pattern papers from that. And then we will also be using some of our Color Vibe cardstock as our base. So for the base piece, we have the warm white Color Vibe cardstock. I'm using it with the dots side up. It's probably hard to tell in the video, but I love the dots showing just because it adds a little bit of texture to the page. So that's your base, and you're going to take that cute, it's called Campfire Stories, and that's the plaid paper. I did pre-cut it before making the video, so I didn't cut it in the video, but I trimmed 1 inch off of one side and 1 inch off the top to create that 11 by 11 plaid piece. And we're just centering that right in the middle. To make our strips across the top, we're cutting a few different patterns. So that Bugs and Pieces paper, we're going to cut a strip that is just 1 inch off the top right there. And then that pink plaid piece, that one's going to be 1¼ inches that we're trimming off the top. And then you can set that piece aside. The next piece is this kind of this diamond pattern, but it's got florals in the diamonds. That piece you are cutting 1¼ inches. And then for that rust floral piece, we're cutting that piece 1½ inches, a 1½ inch strip across the top. And then you'll actually go back to that diamond floral piece, and on the opposite side there's that mustard pattern. And so for that mustard pattern, we're also doing that another strip that's 1½ inches. So once you have those trimmed, we will kind of we want to go back and trim them down to 11 inches because our plaid paper is only 11 inches wide. So I'm just going to trim that inch off of each side just so that we know what we're working with. And a lot of those we're going to be cutting them down again anyway, but it's just nice to work with the 11 inches because we know that's the widest that we want that strip to be. So our very first strip is that Bugs and Pieces that's going to go right across the top. You can see in the finished project that we added some a little lace and a little ribbon accent to it. So we'll add that before we adhere it down. So we're not adhering anything down yet. And now I'm just kind of laying my strips out to kind of get the look that I want in order to mix up those patterns a little bit. So you can kind of see the difference on the layout there. So first, before we trim those other strips down, we'll just go ahead and get our ribbon and our lace. And I just trimmed like a couple inches off there. Something really basic to add to the top there, but it adds some fun texture to the project. And I just kind of wrap those around mine, and I use my cute little mini stapler and staple those right into place, if they'll work, and add those on there. And as soon as those are added, you can just adhere it right to the page, and that way that piece is already laid down and kind of gives us our base for how we're going to build around it after it's done. So you can go ahead and adhere that right down to the top. It's about 1/4 inch away from the top of the plaid piece there. So you can just kind of lay that down there and adhere it. So once you have that in place, we're going to start getting those other strips ready. And there's probably other ways to do it, and you may have your own way of doing it, but I just kind of aligned my papers, and then I'm just going to take a pencil and just kind of make a little marking of where I see that piece kind of ending and where I see the next piece starting. So I kind of made a little mark, and instead of cutting it, I'm not cutting it straight. I'm going to cut it at a diagonal. So we're just cutting this diagonal, and that's one piece that we're going to keep. Now the piece that you just cut off, we're still going to save that piece because it's going to help us shape the next one. So you can see I just use that as my template. I'm going to trim off the length of it so that it even out to that 11 inches. And then you could use your scissors or you can drop it back into the trimmer. Just make sure you line it as close as you can to make sure that those angles are exactly even there. So now you'll put that mustard piece in place. So cute. So we're kind of giving this a little bit of a quilted look. Um, I didn't stitch on this page just because we were doing it for this video, and I know that would be kind of complicated, but it would be really fun if you like you're using your sewing machine or even doing hand stitching on your projects, kind of make this almost give it more of a quilted look, something really kind of fun and different. So we're going to do the exact same thing on this next strip. We're just measuring that out, placing it, and then using the other piece as our template so that we can align it. So when you do that, just make sure that you're aligning it at the length so that you can cut off that that corner piece at the same spot so that you're getting that exact same shape on the other side. And then you'll just trim that down and add those. Once you've got them aligned, you can go ahead and add them to the page using your adhesive. Such a fun, simple way to add a lot of different patterns to your page without overwhelming it and making it look too busy. It's just kind of a fun way of doing it. And then when you add your photos, it really pulls everything all together. When I adhered the strips, I just left only about 1/4 of an inch between them, just like from the top, just about 1/4 of an inch. And then slide those pieces so they fit together like your little puzzle that you made with the templates. And once we have those in place, we're just going to really be building everything on top of that. It'll be pretty quick and simple after that. The photographs that I used, I actually just print mine at home. So I just made one big strip, but the size is right around 3x5 for the larger photos. And then I just kind of did a mini version that was about 1/3 of the size. So about 3 inches wide and only like 1 inch tall on those ones. So you'll just go ahead and drop those photos. I didn't do them perfectly even. I kind of put them on a little bit of an angle just for a little bit of, the page is already so square and straight. I thought it worked nice design wise to have a little bit of balance with those being a little bit at an angle. So like I said, we used some of the embellishments from Trail Mix. So we used our Bits and Pieces collection or embellishments, one of my favorite packets because it has a million things in it. And same with the journal bits. The journal bits are so fun because they make for titles, they make for journaling spots, they make a lot of different options for adding to the layouts without having to use too much stuff. And then you'll go back in and you'll be able to pull all the different pieces from the Bits and Pieces to add on top. So right now I'm just gathering all the journal bits that I'm using that you can see on the page. There's a cute little bundle of little folders that's right there in that bottom corner. There's 3 different sets and they're all just like lined look like little business folders. So we're going to turn those into a interactive journaling spot down there. So go ahead and find all your pieces. We've got the, and you may even want to change it out depending on your photographs in your project, whatever you're working on. So I just kind of kept mine a little bit generic by keeping with the bugs and then pulling out just some of my favorite little pieces that were for camping. So there's a ton of different options there. If your pictures are swimming or actually hiking, s'mores, whatever it may be, there's a ton of different options in this set. That's what makes it so darling. It's probably one of my favorite collections that we've released this year. It's super fun. It's super cute. Still has that masculine touch, but also has a little bit of that pink and fun color to it. So it makes it really pop on your pages. So once you kind of get everything, I like to lay everything out just to keep it simple. And then after that, we're basically kind of just going to start building everything around it. What we're doing, you can see that I added the little floral piece onto the folder and then also that cute little camp tag that goes on to the second page. So I make sure I gathered everything together that I needed. And now we're just going to start sticking stuff down. So I use a lot of dimensional adhesives. I know that's more of a preference. I like to see the dimensions so that it's not quite as flat. So basically on most of my embellishments here, you're going to see that I'm using foam adhesives to add them to the page and give them a little bit of pop. And I'll use different sizes too. So some of them are more like a glue dot, a little bit more flat. Some of them have a little bit more height, just something to kind of give me some variation as I add them to the project. So you can just kind of, all I'm doing here is just adding my foam adhesives and kind of making the layers and building it up the way that I want it to look. So while I'm doing that, I'll just talk about really quick the Trail Mix collection. It's, again, super fun. We've got lots of plaid patterns, lots of florals, the cute little bug details, lots of like little forest scenes, all sorts of fun, cute stuff with that one. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you go take a look. We do have a special going on for you guys for this, specifically for the Scrapbook Cards and Today Scrapbook and Cards Today event. So you're going to use code SCT15 and you can get 15% off products in the shop, and it applies to our shop completely for everything, but we do have a trail mix bundle that we put together specifically for you guys so that you can recreate this project with us. So hopefully if you haven't seen it, you'll go take a peek. It really is just a darling collection to work with. So really right now, all I'm doing is placing everything onto the page, kind of building things in little clusters so that we have good balance on the page without getting too busy. And I love adding all of my clusters around my photos, so it really does draw my eye to the photos without taking away from them, but also accenting the moment and the memories so that you're able to document and really kind of get that feel across. I mean, obviously that's why we're scrapbooking, is to remind ourselves of all the memories. So making sure that we're able to add some journaling and fun things to that. So now we'll build that cute little folder down at the bottom. And I am getting out a scoring tool, and I used I don't even know if it's a 1/4 inch, probably closer to 1/8 of an inch, the very first line on that. And I'm just going to score along the bottom edge of each of those. And I have them in order so they look like they're just going like a file folder would. So the top one has the first tab, and then you'll have the middle tab, and then you'll have that back tab. Just kind of bend that score a little bit so that you see where they're all going to fall into place with each other, and line them up. And then I'm going to take my mini stapler again, and because that little area that we scored is so small, you'll use a small stapler there. Any staple will work. Just make sure that you're getting it only at that very tip, so that way when you go to do your journaling or have it be interactive, it can fold forward just like that. So cute. A little file folder journaling. You can add some hidden journaling in there. I'm just going to add a couple details to accent the front of that. And then on the next page, I added that cute little camp little tag there. And I used a foam adhesive on that one. Also gives a little bit more dimension to the journaling spot and lets people know that it's interactive, so you can pull it open. That back page we just left plain for journaling. So now you're just going to take that and adhere it right to your page. I kind of lowered mine into the corner so that it didn't cover any part of the photo that I wanted to see, but yet kind of highlighted the main portion of it. So this was actually up just doing s'mores in the backyard, and a little bit more of like a rural area, but still we weren't like out camping deep in the woods or anything like that. We're just making s'mores, and so this line was perfect for the photographs. The next thing I did is I just got some buttons. We have our awesome Color Vibe buttons, so I pulled colors from our Color Vibe button packs, and then I found like a wooden button that I had laying around. I thought it kind of went perfectly with the texture of the whole camping vibe. So you can add, if you want to stitch them right on. I know it drives some people crazy if you don't have your threaded buttons, and typically I'm one of those people, but for this purpose in the video, to make it so that it was easier for you guys to navigate, we didn't add thread. So if you want to add thread, make sure you thread all your buttons and do all that first, and then we'll adhere those right down to the page. add a little accent. And because our color vibe comes in so many different sets, there are so many color options, and they're made to match all of our collections. So if you have the color vibe buttons, you could just go in and find your favorite ones that match with this collection and throw them on there. And then even that same pack is going to have other buttons that you'll love for other pages and projects too. So the last thing I'm doing is just trying to add a few basic accents with the enamel dots. They're so cute, and I love enamel dots for that reason. They're not too flashy, but they add just like that little extra touch of color and a little bit of a different texture with that shine on there. So we added those just in a few spots on our page. You could even add them onto your photos if you're trying to highlight something specific. Add a couple into your journaling spots. Just anything that you want to have a little extra pop on. And then very last, all I'm really going to do is add my journaling. I'm just going to take a journaling marker and kind of go back through, decide what I want to say, just kind of thinking about it, writing down the location of where we were at, keeping that page simple, always adding the date. I know most people don't love their own handwriting. I'm the same. People always compliment my handwriting, but myself, I don't always love it. But I finally learned that I really do like to have at least a little bit of my own hand journaling on there, because I know that my kids will appreciate that later and recognize my handwriting. So make sure you're not too afraid to do a little bit of hand journaling and experience with that a bit. So that is really everything. We hope you have loved creating this layout with us. We hope you'll run on over and check out the Trail Mix collection. If you haven't yet, it's a darling collection, and you will love it for all of your summer and outdoor adventures that you've had to create memories. See you soon.